My name is Cecilia Arditto Delsoglio. I am a composer from Argentina. I find writing music, what defines me. I love to write music. I also like to hear the music I write, but I like more writing it. It's what I do. I write music. I love it. And then here and there I rehearse and I go to a concert. Because I have all the tool of musical notation, and what I was doing with the time is just asking more things to the instruments and start adding objects, adding the space, other visuals, but all from a musical perspective. So I think this really defines me as a composer. Is this using the score as a storyboard that is bringing everything, even the outside world, into a performative act. That is also something I defines me. That is something that you do in the moment. You study forever. You study, the musicians, they have to study the parts, and they have to practice a lot, and they have to know very well how to play the instrument. But the moment of the concert is like, it's life. And I like this adrenaline, this combination of something that you were thinking forever, like writing a piece for 8 years, and then it's like 12 minutes, boom, there, you know? And that's the magic of the music score. That's an amazing tool to produce this kind of thing that is meditated at the same time spontaneous. So I think this defines me as a composer, as an artist. I'm coming from a very creative family, so art was always in my life as a kid, and in some point I made that playing my profession. And so the way I feel now is exactly the same way I felt when I was a kid, playing, making theater pieces, playing music, etc. But there's a moment when I was a teenager. I was already studying in the conservatory music, and there's a moment when I was 14 that I had like a revelation, a very, very strong feeling, listening some classical music, because as a teenager is the music I was listening to. And I had like a mystical moment, and I said to myself, I want to be a musician, and I want to be doing this all my life. But I didn't know exactly how. But this feeling is super strong, and I still remember that night I was listening Hungarian Rhapsody of Liszt in the radio, and I was like, I want to be doing this always, like a mystical moment. So I think that's a moment. I can recognize a pattern that is, I have an idea of a piece of something I want to do, and it comes to me as a concept. And music is very abstract, so could be many different things. Could be a sound, could be a technical aspect of an instrument, could be a more philosophical idea. But it comes to me as an undefined concept in terms of words. But I have this experience, and I know what it is. And then the process of bringing that concept into a piece is just digging in, or just knowing what is this about. But it's something that's just like a certainty. But it can't be explained with words. That's the problem that composers we have, or artists in general. When we have to explain what we are going to do with words beforehand, because we know, but we know in different ways. And especially music that have this quality that could be very concrete, very physical in terms of sound, in terms of physics, at the same time very philosophical. And that's the language of music, and no words. So I can recognize this pattern that I know what I want to do, but then it comes a process of making it real, and a long process that then after this first spark, it comes a lot of work, a little spark here and there, and it's like work. And I think this is a pattern for me. Something I am doing lately is like I am making like musical meditations. Like I lay down, I close my eyes, and I imagine how a piece could work, could sound. And I am listening with my mind. And I find this experience fascinating, because music is something that we can listen, but not necessarily with the ears. This is a part of the thing, but I think that there's something that is wider, that is perception. And so laying down, closing my eyes and thinking and letting my music go in my mind. So, and I say a bit like a guided meditation, because I go this way, I go that way, I focus in a sound. It's just total freedom. And these experiences are very, very interesting for me, because then it comes the work, and bringing all these things into a music score, and especially when working with a lot of instruments, a lot of people, it's more work. But always keeping the connection with this thing that is super fresh and super important, not getting loose in the practicality, you know? That is fundamental, but is together, right? In the past, I used to work all the time, and especially like on long hours, and also a lot in the night. I am a very night person, but I'm changing that and having like a more trying to have a more like regular life. But so basically, as a freelance, I'm just working all day. I mean, writing a piece or different projects at the same time, like I usually have. It has different moments, right? Like you have a moment of this sparkling moment of creativity, but then you have the work, like you have to go and into notation, researching with instruments, working with the musicians, etc. And so then the day is a combination of all these different moments. And something I do that is really good for me, I love yoga. I'm a yoga practitioner, and I am also a yoga teacher, and I practice every day. So I have every day a moment for the yoga, and that's really helping me to calm my mind, to organize my day, and to find my body. That is, I find it that's very important for music. Finding the physical body connected with the mind and all these ideas. So yeah, basically that's a very good way of organizing my day, just working in my desk. And composers, we are very lonely people, because we rehearse here and there. I work a lot with musicians individually, one to one, but mostly I am in my desk. So having this kind of physical window in my day is it's just very simple. It makes me happy. My problem, I think, is just the opposite of being blocked, that I have too many ideas. So some artists, they have this fear of the blank page, and my fear is the black page, because my mind is very crowded, so I never had this blockage thing. Never ever. I wish I wish to have this emptiness, you know, and this silence in my mind. So for me, the challenge is just to organize all these intensities and make some choices and calm my mind. I'm writing a piece and then I'm super enthusiastic about the piece and I'm thinking the next one, and it's all too much enthusiasm sometimes, and especially because that triggers me to work. So I work and I write music and I write one piece and then another, and I never sleep, I never eat. So and that's not good. So working out just to have a more balanced life, and also I think it's also good for the music. It's just to have these spaces, the blank pages that I wish to have. The piece Boxes is about space, but not only that, it's about spaces. So it's a superposition of different spaces. I call it boxes because I bring this concept to the musical instruments. Every instrument has a resonance box. And in my piece, I am working explicitly with all these boxes and a physical box, that they are inside a big box that is the space around. And so it's this kind of polyphony of different spaces. That is an idea that is very clear to Tadao Ando in architecture, because he's building his constructions with blocks, but there's something very philosophical about the space, because you don't know if you are inside, if you are outside, and you don't understand the building you are in. So you are perceiving the building. I'm gonna show you briefly. I have a nice book by him. So in every page you open, I mean, you see all these paradoxes with space and this superposition of different spaces. Whatever page you open, is you don't know what the inside but the outside. And with Virginia Woolf, it's the same thing in her novel, because there's a flowing, temporal flowing that is the same for all the characters, but all the characters are not related, and so they are related with something in common, that is just looking up in the sky. And so this is what is connecting them, and what I like about that is the superposition of different spaces. And this is not only physical spaces like in Tadao Ando, but it's also emotional spaces and spaces in perception, like in music. So my piece, Boxes, is about different spaces with different qualities and the way they talk to each other. And it's beyond my aim, is that beyond just showing different colors, different volumes. It's just open different spaces in our minds. That this is triggering different fantasies, sound fantasies, but also how can they relate each other. And it's also an idea, I think, of the physics, of the modern physics, quantum physics, that you have all these realities superposed at the same time. So all this piece is about all these things, and what we have, the tool with music, is just to make some sort of philosophy with sounds. We can express all these very abstract ideas in a very straightforward way. Like you can understand somehow these concepts by perception. and no by language, coming back to what we were talking at the beginning of our talk. As I said before, everything starts with a concept, like I explained. I mean, all these ideas about Ando and Virginia Woolf, etc. And then the process is just to make it real. And for me, make it real is just study a lot, especially in this piece. I was really into acoustics, understanding a lot of phenomenon, acoustic phenomenon, and I was just following lectures by Gustavo Basso. He's an acoustic engineer from Argentina, and he's a teacher in the University of La Plata, but he's the one who designed La Ballena in the CCK and Usina del Arte. So all the big halls now in Latin America are designed by him. And now, thanks to the pandemic, I had the pleasure to follow a lot of lectures online by him. He was a teacher of mine in Argentina. He's brilliant. I have his books. And so it's just talking about space and the way of treating space. And what I like about him is like he's extremely, can you imagine, technical, but at the same time he has an amazing perception, musical perception. So what he designs a space, he made a remodeling of the Teatro Colón, and of course he can talk about techniques all the time, but what he's talking more is about what's the meaning, what's the sound we want, and thinking in listening and perception of music. So for me, it was a lot of research in the instruments about how it sounds, about resonant spaces, small resonant spaces of different qualities in wood, in metal, and so that's my work, and then just bring that into a musical score, that everything and all this polyphony of spaces can be played, I mean, easily. So the instructions should be clear enough. Everything should be crystal clear. So it's also a lot of trying and experimentation. So yeah, so and then it comes the part that like is work, and it's very practical and very concrete, and very nice to do. I tried a lot of things myself. In this piece, the electric guitar is the main instrument. My boyfriend is an electric guitar player, so we were trying millions of things. Just putting the amplifiers inside boxes, spreading all the boxes in the house, putting recordings inside suitcases with a lot of blankets, and well, a lot of fun. I mean, I have material for, I don't know, 10 pieces now. But yes, experimentation is very important. And then, I mean, I couldn't experiment with all the musicians, so a little things are a little bit open. We will see how it sounds in the rehearsals. So it's always like a little bit like a butterflies in the stomach. I have sound fascination. I like the sounds. I love the sounds. I love the sound of a cassette player, all the sounds. I mean, the music that is in the cassette, the noises, the clicks, the speakers. I love all the sounds of the low tech. I find it very inspiring. So my first fascination is always with sound. I also work with ventilators, with objects, and I choose them because of the sound. And for me, they are like electronic music, like machines in a way. And I like, a second aspect I like is that all these objects, including the low tech, are things that has to be played live. So you have to do the thing in the moment. You have to put the play in the cassette. The cassette is rolling in the moment. So I like this analog thing because for me it's the same like performing. The cassette player is just performing the tape. When you have a CD or you have a computer, there's like a big black box. So you play something and you don't know what's going on inside. The process is invisible. But with tapes and with ventilators, you know what's going on. You can see it. But at the same time, it produces like a paradox, because you hear like an amazing, incredible sound, and at the same time you see like a very simple ventilator, and I like this combination. And then there's something that has to do with something more conceptual, that is working with second-hand objects, like rescued objects, that for me has to do not with a nostalgic thing, like, oh, I'm gonna play the cassette player I used to have when I was a kid, or blah blah blah, but it's more like a resistance, like an act of resistance, that they say, well, these things are amazing, are beautiful, and they are considered obsolete by our society. And say, why? I'm gonna use them and I'm gonna make something beautiful with them. So I think there's a political also action in those things. Aesthetical first, and they come together, and a political also action. What I find in my music, this is not the first time I'm working with objects. The music, modern music is very abstract. I like that abstraction very much. But these objects or extra things are creating with audience in general a familiarity that so somehow I think it's opening a door, and it's opening a door just then to go into the music and to dig into this abstraction that's fundamental. But in a way, sometimes modern music is a little bit too isolated in their own terms. It's not a problem of the music, it's something happens in our society, and I cannot say why, but I find that these strategies are very kind to other audiences, and so then they can really focus on the sound and in the music language, and without being distracted by the object. It doesn't happen, but I think that's like it's very appealing for people. It's not very appealing for the production of a concert, because then it's always the same thing, just transporting millions of things, and it's a lot of work for everyone. But I think it's very nice for the audience. I am very happy to work together with Modelo62. It's our first time together, even we know each other with Ezequiel for years. I love working with an ensemble that is so creative, because like my music can make like a big difference who is playing my music. People that really can understand, or maybe they don't understand but they want to understand. And so we do this part of the process together, and having this wonderful possibility to work with a group of people, creative, is a luxury situation. Usually I have this experience with smaller groups or with one-to-one, but finding ensembles that they have this energy is really like a treasure, because it changes the music. And it's not only that, it's just because then I have this experience with them, and it's gonna change the next piece I'm gonna write. So I am very, very happy and very grateful.